Welcome back to one more episode of Backward Point. This is a cricket podcast hosted by yours truly, Bashar, and with me is, as always, my brother and co-host.
Nazar Sayed.
And in this episode, we plan to talk about a few different things: the PSL, a few of the interesting test matches going around, exactly where we are in the PSL, where we are in the tournament right now, what we're looking ahead for. And just some more hot takes, guys. You know what we're here for.
Yeah. Ever since we've relaunched this side of the podcast, we've gotten a lot of feedback online. Some videos have gone viral. Viral sensation. Bashar Sayed here sitting with us.
Podcast is getting a lot of heat.
Yeah, which is fair. Which is what we set out to do.
Yes, some good feedback, some bad. I always thought I would take all the negative feedback very personally.
Yeah,
but to me, it's entertainment.
I love it. I love it.
The comments are unreal.
These people don't know what they're talking about, and I think it's absolutely funny. And
Yes.
the funnier ones are not even like. Okay, so there are some like comments that are like genuinely like somebody wants to have a conversation, and that's fun to have. But and there are some conversations where the guys is like, "What does this Virat Kohli lookalike know about cricket? What is this? Who are these guys? Go back to your country." I'm like, bro, I'm Canadian. I live here. It's crazy. It's fun. Like I love the feedback. I love the comments. There are a lot of good comments as well that we don't interact to as much.
I mean, some good discussions going on as well. I really love and appreciate all the insights that we get. There's some aspects of the game that we might miss, and so we like that the listeners can always come in and pitch in what they think as well.
Yeah, they're 100% wrong most of the time, but it's fun to have that conversation. It's fun to see that, and people are enjoying what we're talking
We
about.
welcome discussions. We welcome engagement. So keep that coming. Getting more back to the podcast that we're looking to do today. Exactly where we are in the PSL. We're sort of towards the end of the second leg of the PSL.
Mhm.
And we're sort of getting a look of which teams have qualified almost, which teams will probably be knocked out, Karachi and Quetta. So what have you thought of this second part of the PSL that we've seen?
So the second part of the PSL, that's a good question. So the first part of the PSL, whenever it starts, it's always very interesting. It's
Yes.
always very exciting. The first few, at least I want to say the first week is very fun because you haven't seen these teams play in a year almost. You don't know how the new matchups are going to be, the setups. Some people have retained players, some people have lost players. It's always the first week is always exciting. You're watching these teams go at it. Second, third week starts to become a bit of a drag. We start seeing eventually who the losers of the tournament are and who the ones that are going to be winning. It really quickly becomes a battle of just let's get these games over with so we can finally go to the playoffs. I feel like that's where we're at in the PSL right now.
100%. And I think we're at that point in the tournament where we can solidify that Lahore Qalandars is a super team of this PSL. And it's a testament of the work that they've put in the 5 years. We've said in the past that, batting wins you matches and bowling wins you tournaments. And I feel like Lahore Qalandars has an incredible bowling lineup. Most international teams don't have as good of a bowling attack as Lahore does in their team that contains Shaheen, Haris Rauf, Rashid Khan, Zaman Khan, part-time bowlers like Sikandar Raza, David Wiese. And you can see that a lot of their success is because of their bowling. They can put up a mediocre total, but they have bowlers like Shaheen who can take wickets in the power play. They have bowlers like Rashid who can take wickets in the middle overs. And then in the death, they have Haris Rauf and Zaman Khan. Haris Rauf, by the way, congrats on making the ICC T20 Team of the Year. It was on this podcast, well, a version of this podcast where I had called out that Haris Rauf was going to be the next big thing.
That was 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago. That was before he even played a game in the PSL. I saw him ball in the Abu Dhabi T20 Cup, and he led Lahore Qalandars to winning that cup. And that's when I thought, this guy, if he puts on some muscle mass, if he has the right training and practice and guidance, he can be a real star for the Pakistan team. And we've seen him, take wickets of the likes of Hardik Pandya, in the last World T20, the one in the UAE, take wickets of Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav.
Yeah.
And so he really is a world-class bowler, and I'm so proud of seeing his journey literally from nowhere to where he is now. It's a testament of how raw talent is in Pakistan. And all we need, that talent needs, is some guidance, the right opportunities, the right training centers, and these players can do wonders.
It's basically Lahore versus the world at this point. With that bowling lineup, I will challenge any batting setup to come up and be like, we'll smash you. And I want to see that happen because that's impossible. Shaheen is a menace in the first 6 overs in the power play. Haris and Rashid like dominate the middle overs. They don't let you score a single run. Rashid is just a magician with the ball, man. The way he takes, I think he's like 600, 700 wickets, T20 wickets.
Yeah.
Those are insane numbers. And he has like at least 5 to 7 years, if not 10 left.
10, 15. Dude, he's younger than me.
Allegedly.
On paper.
Allegedly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that. Who's that? Ihsanullah?
Bro, no.
I don't
no
believe
way
that.
guy's 20, man.
Allegedly, he's 20. I mean,
No
if
way.
he's 20, then I'm like 14.
Yes.
Genuinely. But age is but a number, as Afridi once said. The forever immortal player, Shahid Afridi. But yeah, like Lahore Qalandars, are they going to repeat? They should. They are the best team, undoubtedly.
Shaheen Afridi has sort of risen. Actually. Risen, my brother's writer.
This guy needs to start reading again.
Shaheen Afridi has risen as an incredible leader and captain. He is officially the most successful captain in the history of the PSL in terms of win ratio. He's won 14 out of 20 matches. And he just seems like somebody who is a natural born leader. And we were talking about pace bowling captains in the last episode.
Fast bowling captains.
Yeah, pace bowling captains.
Okay.
And I think Shaheen definitely has a potential that if he's fit, we could look to him as a potential leader of the future.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions about Babar Azam and, okay, if not Babar, then who? Well, we might have found an answer. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold yet at that. Watch the previous episode to think about my genuine reactions and my priority of the PSL, how much it really matters. That's a whole different conversation. We had that in the previous episode. But again, I don't know, given the fitness that Shaheen carries, I don't know if he's the perfect match to immediately be like, hey, here's Babar's successor. I don't know that. I need to see more to have a proper conversation about that. But as far as it stands right now, as the PSL stats concerned, it's impressive.
Also, given the fact that Shadab Khan,
versus
Mohammad Rizwan potentially are also in line of the captaincy, if there is a debate of removing Babar as captain, that I feel like it's a whole separate podcast episode in its own.
On that point, though, the names that you mentioned, out of all of them, I like Shaheen the best.
Yeah, my only concern is his fitness, and that's one of the concerns that I had when Australia named Pat Cummins as their captain. Because with fast bowlers, there's always a huge concern of workload, fitness, and how long they can sustain themselves.
Yeah.
So I think also captaining a franchise versus captaining the national team is very different. It comes with different pressures and different, nuances that you don't really,
for sure.
Take into consideration. So
yeah, we saw that with Babar. Like we saw him deal with all of the, there's a lot of politicking going on. I feel like Shaheen's a little bit too blunt for his own good. He does make like some crazy decisions. Like I saw in one game he came second down to bat.
He came at number 6.
Number 6.
They had a collapse and he came at number 6.
I mean, that's very Imran Khan-esque.
Yeah.
But come on, relax. Stay in your lane. That's all I gotta say. But it was nice to see like a little bit of a, fresh face there, a little bit of a change. Our previous captains, at least Sarfraz, I remember, was just like, this is the game plan I've come out with. I don't care if New Zealand is 60 for 7. Remember in the World Cup, or 60 for 5 or something?
2019 World Cup match against New Zealand, we had them at like 80 for 5.
80 for 5. I don't care if they're 80 for 5. I will do what I came out to do. Like, and there was that side of captaincy that we saw.
Yeah.
And then Babar was a little bit more of a haphazard. Like some days I will declare a random declare on the 4th day, and some days like I will clearly let them score as much as they want, even if they have them on the ropes.
I'm glad you mentioned Sarfraz captaincy because Quetta, as we speak right now, is at the bottom of the table. They've won just the one match out of 7.
Against who?
I'm not sure exactly who they won against.
Yeah, that's trivia right there.
But when I saw their team before the PSL started, I feel like they had a really good side with the likes of Mohammad Nawaz, Naseem Shah, Mohammad Hasnain.
Yeah.
They had Hasaranga who pulled out.
They also had another good balling attack that has gone nowhere for some reason.
Yes, and then the batting they had Jason Roy, Martin Guptill, Iftikhar Ahmed, Sarfraz himself, Mohammad Hafiz. I feel like they had a really solid team. But I just feel like Sarfraz and management, they just weren't able to put the right ingredients together to form a really good team. And the one thing I have against Sarfraz is he's doing the same thing as what he did when he was captain of the Pakistan team. Sarfraz is trying to be a very nice guy, trying to give other people chances, trying to let Martin Guptill, trying to let Mohammad Hafiz, Iftikhar Ahmed bat above him. But Sarfraz then ends up batting at number 6, which is not his batting position.
Yeah.
He's not a power hitter. Number 6 is a very specialist position where only power hitters should be playing. And so Sarfraz not only, he puts himself at risk, he puts his own personal performances at risk, and that ultimately costs the team. And that's also exactly what happened to him in the Pakistan team. He was a great captain, but again, he was giving chances to Mohammad Hafiz, Shoaib Malik, Babar Azam, and then he just put himself down the order. Haris Sohail was there as well.
To the point where it became very evident that he doesn't have a spot in the team, but everybody else does.
Exactly. So the debate in the end became that Sarfraz is a good captain, but his personal performances, he has nothing to show for.
Yeah.
And Pakistan is a place where people want quick change and quick results. And ultimately, it's a big debate as to whether it was fair or unfair, whether him losing his captaincy in 2019. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't have any personal performances to back his position on the team.
That's the one thing that is stopping Babar Azam's captaincy from going away from him, is the fact that he is the cricketer of the year.
Yeah.
You're going to remove the cricketer of the year from captaincy? Really? That's the argument that's in favor of Babar. Sarfraz never had that.
Before Babar was captain, people kept saying that if he becomes captain, it's going to affect his batting. Now that he's captain and then he's become the cricketer of the year, people are saying he should step down from captaincy so he can score even more runs and have an even greater legacy.
Man, Pakistani people, they want their cake and they want to eat it as well. Like, it's just insane. The discourse against Babar Azam that I hear is, I don't even want to get into this right now, but I'm just going to leave it at this, that it's insane. Like, we are such an ungrateful people that getting Babar Azam is such a shock to us that we don't really know what to do with him.
I think for the first time in 15 years, we've gotten a world-class
Who
batsman.
was before them?
Mohammad Yusuf, I think, was the last one.
How many centuries does he have?
24.
In ODIs?
39 in total. 39, 38 in
He has
total.
24 ODI centuries?
He has 25, 24 in test matches. And then I feel like he has 14 or 15 in ODIs.
Babar already has 18.
Yeah, but total hundreds, he's still very behind.
I'm just saying, like, in ODIs, we have
But
a
yeah,
player.
the argument is, like, you asked me, like, who was the last good player we got? My answer was Mohammad Yusuf.
I'm a bit shaky on
He
that.
still has the record of most test runs in a calendar year.
Sure. Yeah.
52 average in test matches. He only played 90 tests. If he played more tests, he would have had a greater record.
Probably. I agree.
So-
I'm not docking anything from Mohammad Yusuf. He's one of the greatest of all time, and I really love him as well. But as a superstar player, would you really say Mohammad Yusuf is a superstar player?
No, but he was an integral and a world-class batsman when he was in our team. I think
Fair.
his average is 40 plus in ODIs,
Fair.
50 plus in test matches. A mainstay in our team all of the early 2000 and late 90s.
I totally agree with that. But again, Mohammad Yusuf, great player, right? But we never had someone that was as a superstar as bombastic as Babar Azam was.
Yeah,
I
for
want to think about, like, Babar Azam is the only player that is equivalent to Kohli. I remember Ahmed Shahzad making the claim that he was the equivalent to Kohli. Where did that go? Like, he's the only one who made that claim and stuck to his word. And then we're at a point where we just don't know what to do with this kind of stardom, because I mean, if Qazi Akbar was here, he would be like, he would go into this whole psychological thing, how we're like inferior and we have this big inferiority complex. But maybe that's true, maybe that isn't. All I'm saying is that we have this huge superstar that we continue to let down. And as we don't even know, I don't know where I read this, but we're going to know Babar Azam's worth when he's not there anymore. And
Bro, I can't imagine a Pakistan team without Babar Azam.
bro,
Don't even say that.
Bro.
Don't even say that. Right? I cannot take it.
I know, right? Exactly. So
Yeah.
like when the discourse against Babar is just like the other side, where he's like, oh, remove him from captaincy, maybe he should sit out this, sit out that. I'm like, let the man do whatever he wants. This is the greatest player in Pakistan history. We can't treat him like this. Anyways, moving on. PSL.
Speaking of Babur, his team is at number 4 on the points table.
They'll make it to the playoffs.
I feel like we were just talking about this. Karachi, Peshawar, Quetta, their bowling attacks suck, man.
Yeah.
Like
It's
they're
non-existent.
just absolutely trash. That game against Karachi versus Peshawar, round 2 of the Amir versus Babur.
Yeah.
We saw an amazing spell from Mohammad Amir. He took 3 wickets in his first spell, getting Mohammad Haris, Babar Azam, and then Saim Ayub. It felt like it was a replay of his 2016 Asia Cup spell against India. The modes of dismissal were exactly the same, and it felt like the old Mohammad Amir is back. But that's just been a highlight of his career. We've just seen sparks of brilliances and nothing of consistent stature to back his skills.
Yeah.
But despite getting like 3-4 wickets up front, Peshawar still scored 200, and then
Wild.
Karachi couldn't chase it.
That was wild to me. I mean, that was like, I feel like that's just like Amir's bad karma coming back to bite Karachi, because that spell, you should have wrapped this team under 100. Like 100 is even a lot. Like they were down and out.
Yeah.
And they still managed to score 197, I think. It's unbelievable, right? It's unbelievable that 2 of the worst bowling attacks went at each other and they still managed to lose. Yeah, that's the only thing that's not going in for Peshawar's favor, is that they don't have a solid bowling attack. If even if they score 200, they're completely vulnerable, because the opponent's batsmen can come out and smash these bowlers all over the park and even get 200. So I don't know. I don't see Peshawar going. I see Peshawar making it through the playoffs. I just don't see them making it through to the finals. I feel like their finals are locked and loaded, and we're just being ceremonious with the other teams, but because we know that the final is going to be between Lahore and Multan. There's no other way.
Essentially, Karachi and Quetta are out. If top 4 teams qualify, we're looking at Lahore possibly at the top. Islamabad, Multan will probably fight for the second spot, and then I think Peshawar will most likely finish at number 4.
Yeah.
So we'll look at a Lahore versus is it like 1 versus 2 is a qualifier, and then there's an eliminator between 3 and 4, and then there's a qualifier number 2 between 2 and 3. The loser of the game of 1 and 2.
I don't know. The playoffs in PSL are completely confused me. I don't know what's going on.
It's basically the top 2 teams have an extra chance of qualifying. So
Yeah. So if
top-
if the top 2 teams beat, like if number 1 beats number 2, then he's automatically the final.
in the final, and
And
then
then
the number 2, the
plays-
loser gets a chance to play the winner of 3 versus 4. Yes,
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So there's obviously perks of finishing in the top 2, and that's one of them. I wanted to talk about some of the insane performances we've been seeing so far in the PSL, and I think a couple to mention would be Imad Wasim, the batsman.
Oh Lord.
He is right now the second highest run scorer. He is averaging 177 in the PSL. He has the second most sixes, strike rate of 177, and it just seems really difficult to get him out.
It feels very difficult to get him out, but I also feel like at this point it's very difficult to not talk about him in the Pakistan squad now. Like these conversations have risen.
Are we bringing back the Nawaz versus Imad debate?
Are we bringing it back? I mean, it's there, and now it's there. Like the discourse is definitely there. Everybody on Crick Info, Twitter, Facebook, social media, everybody's talking about it. That means that we have to talk about it here now. Like we can't ignore it anymore. The Nawaz versus Imad debate, I don't know about that. I
Can we see a team where they can both coexist?
No, that's the same player, man. They're the same player. It's just at this point, who do you prefer? Imad now has numbers to back him up now, so that changes the equation completely. Because Nawaz is good, but he's a little bit unreliable. He's a little bit of a no-show sometimes. I mean, I was just watching the highlights of the Pakistan India Asia Cup match, the second one that we won.
He scored 45.
Where he scored 45 off 20 or something. Like, it was insane innings.
Yeah.
We don't see that many innings from him there, but that was definitely one of the innings that I will highlight. Imad has like 4 of those in the PSL right now. He's coming out scoring 92 off like 54. Like, that's insane. What does he do? Like,
You're comparing a PSL inning versus a game against India in the Asia Cup.
True. But I'm just
It's
saying
different pressure.
Definitely the consistency that Imad is showing, there is a conversation to be had of him being in the national squad. Now, I don't know if I'm the person to have that conversation, because I keep saying this about Amir. I'll keep saying this about Imad. Good cricket player, bad person. And I don't know if we want those vibes in the dressing room.
My only thing against Imad in the Nawaz versus Imad debate is that Nawaz is a very dynamic bowler. He can bowl in the power play. He can bowl in the middle overs. He's a very big turner of the ball. He's a genuine left arm spinner. And Imad has limitations when it comes to bowling. He is a lot more effective with the new ball. And right now, I don't see him taking the new ball when you have the likes of Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi, two world class new ball bowlers. You don't want to waste the new ball giving it to a spinner. And then Imad is not a genuine turner of the ball. He's more of a guy who balls an arm ball, who darts it in at pace. And I feel like Nawaz is also a bit more fitter and a better fielder than Imad. But I would even argue that perhaps Nawaz and Imad can coexist in the same playing 11. If we're looking at a perhaps a number 6 batsman who can bowl, it could be Imad Wasim.
Let me present you with the multiversal question here. Do you remember? Was it the World Cup? Yeah, it was the World Cup last over where Nawaz bowled against Kohli, right?
Yeah.
Let's take Nawaz out. Let's put him on then. Does he defend those 12 runs or 15 runs, however much there were?
I think it's tough to say.
Give me an answer.
I can give you an answer because it's a hypothetical scenario.
Give me a hypothetical. Do you think he can dart those in and beat Kohli, or do you think Kohli still gets it? Because Nawaz was technically bowling how Imad would have bowled. He was bowling it quicker. He was bowling it on the stumps, and he was just getting whacked. That's the scenario that I'm comparing it to. Like, can Imad be that guy that comes in and saves a situation like that? Nawaz couldn't either, but Nawaz was mighty close. He almost did it. Like, those couple of wides that no ball doesn't go there were a different situation. I'm still salty about it, as people can tell. But I'm just saying, in that situation, can Imad handle that pressure if he was there?
I'll take you back. Let's go back to the vault, and I'll bring back a very core memory. 2017 Champions Trophy group match against India. Again, Pakistan messed up their over alignment, and then Imad had to bowl the last over. You might recall that Imad was wearing a headband in the game. Very DDLJ vibes.
Very Tere Naam vibes. Radhe Mohan.
Exactly. So
the middle part.
Sarfaraz called upon Imad to bowl the last over, and Hardik Pandya smashed him, I think, for 4 sixes. Was it 3 sixes? 3 sixes, and then I think even Kohli smashed him for a 4. So that's the only situation that we've seen him close to what Nawaz was in. But I think Nawaz was in a much more difficult situation, a much bigger stage, a World Cup match. But the one situation that we have seen Imad in, he got smacked as well. So,
I mean, Imad didn't get smacked. Take those
3 sixes and then a boundary. I think he went for 22 off his last over.
Are you talking about the World Cup fight?
I'm talking about the Champions Trophy game, the group match.
That was Imad, right? I'm talking about Nawaz. Nawaz didn't get smashed.
Oh, well, Nawaz, bro, he gave away like 16, right? Didn't he 16 last over?
He gave away 16, but he almost had it.
But he gave it away.
He gave it away, yeah. He did give it away. But he almost had it, man. Like, he almost, like, you don't... never mind. I don't want to get into that. Between them two, I would still pick Nawaz. If that's
my opinion is pick both of them.
That's a very
diplomatic
answer.
Because there's no harm in having an extra.
Where? Give me the 11 then. Where does he fit in? Who do you take out?
So right now we're talking, just for context, the ODI squad.
Yeah, the ODI squad for the World Cup 2023.
That's my focus for this year. We're looking at the ODI World Cup.
Right.
We're right now in March. The World Cup is in October in India, spinning conditions. My playing 11 is the following, okay? It's going to be Imam Ul-Haq and Fakhar Zaman open. 1 down is Babar Azam, 2 down is Rizwan. I'm going to have Iftikhar Ahmed at number 5. I'm going to have Imad Wasim at number 6. I'm going to have Shadab at 7. Nawaz at 8. I'm going to have Shaheen, Haris, and Naseem.
That's not bad, actually.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
You want to have a variety of bowling options. Nawaz...
So who did you take out? You took out Khushdil.
I took out Khushdil. Khushdil can be added as well. People are forgetting that...
Play 12 players?
Wait. People are forgetting Khushdil has contribution in the ODI team. He finished about 3 or 4 matches for Pakistan last year. The games against West Indies, the games against Australia. He came in the end, and he scored quick fire cameos. So he can be in the 15 squad. But if you're just looking at somebody who is a better bowler than Khushdil, is definitely Imad. He can get you more overs, and he's a more proper bowler. And then he's obviously, I think, their hitting abilities can be compared. But just given the current form, I think Imad he could be a decent option.
Let me ask you another question about Imad, then we can wrap this section up. What is the relationship between Imad and Babar?
I don't think it's the greatest because I feel like Imad has felt a bit betrayed by Babar post 2021 T20 World Cup. We saw that before that Nawaz was on the bench, and then once the World Cup finished, they went to Bangladesh, and then Imad was dropped from the team, and then Nawaz became a more integral part of the Pakistan team. So Imad feels like his performances in the World Cup were justified, and him being dropped from the team was uncalled for. There's no proper justification. He's been performing in leagues. He's been performing in the PSL, and I just feel like we're at the point where it's a liking disliking thing, where Babar perhaps prefers Nawaz in his team more than Imad. And that's just the nature of international cricket. Sometimes captains like some players. For example, Sarfaraz Mikyar liked Imad. He played for a good 3-4 years in the Pakistan team without being dropped. And then, change of management, change of captains. This management prefers Nawaz over Imad.
So in the likely scenario where Imad's performance has now become completely unignorable, do you think Babar will put his reservations aside and probably make the change that you're talking about? Or will he go push
we'll have to see. And that, I think, will show Babar Azam, the captain's real character.
Jeez, this guy goes.
Because right now, I feel like Babar is a very egotistical captain. Like he's very stubborn as well. Like once he makes one decision, he's very hesitant to back off from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a good captain is one that adapts and learns from his mistakes rather than repeating the same mistake over and over again.
I agree. Well, time will tell. I don't know if this is definitely a little bit of a premature conversation, but definitely needs to be had. The PSL that Imad is having is just unignorable at this point. Like, you have to acknowledge the man's greatness. He's trying to lift a broken team. He's trying to lift a team that's full of egos, full of superstars or ex-superstars, prima donnas if you want. But he's trying his best, so you got to give him props for that.
Yep, I agree. And I think we'll see how the few matches go in the PSL, but it's most likely than not that Karachi and Quetta are out.
Yeah.
And we already have a feel of the top 4 teams in the PSL.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I think we wanted to talk about a few test matches that have gone past.
Finally. We're talking about real cricket
now.
The
real cricket.
Man, I just think that it's insane that it's taken us half the podcast to come to the biggest news of all time, which is that we just witnessed the greatest test match of all time.
One of the greats. I can't remember the last time I was on the edge of my seat watching a test match, and I'm so glad that I was watching actually all 4 days before that.
Yeah,
we're talking about the England versus New Zealand test match. It was a second test match.
England, New Zealand is the 4th team in the history of the game actually to come back from a follow-on and win the game. I've never seen it in my life. The one before this was in Australia versus West Indies in the 90s, I think 91, 92. West Indies beat Australia after a follow-on. The one before that was in the early 1900s. And the one before that was in the 1800s. This is how special and monumentous this moment was.
And they also won by 1 run, which is only the second time in the history of test match cricket where a team has won a test match by 1 run.
Do you know the other time?
I don't know the other time, but the other time Cricket Info says is exactly 30 years ago.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's insane. The level of cricket that was played to the last ball, like, it was just insane. That game, we watched it live all 4 days. We were following it, and the ups and downs of that game.
Up until the last wicket, you could not tell who's going to be winning because it's 1 minute it's New Zealand, 1 minute it's England, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of watching a test match. It recalled why we love test cricket so much, the emotions that are attached to this game. Pressure, hard work of 5 days, all accumulating into, that last session.
It's the stakes of you've played for 4 days. You've played like for almost 24 hours. You've been playing this game for like 8 hours a day. It's insane. It all boils down to the last possible session. And that's the beauty of this game. That's what like none of the other formats can really emulate is the grit. Like, ever since we started, like, at least I'll speak for myself, I started coming back into cricket, playing league cricket again here in Canada. I've started noticing the grit, how much hard work it takes just to stand there for like 30, 40 minutes when we're in the nets. And these guys stand there for hours. And it all boils down to that last ball, just, setting that field up. And Yeah, I mean, there's lots of questions coming up from this. Is Bazball over? Is the era of the Bazball ended? People are calling out, just the way that this chess match had proceeded. They're like, well, Bazball was fun while it lasted, but I don't think it's going to carry on any forward. What are your thoughts on that? Because I am very much in disagreement.
The whole point of Bazball is cricket that is being played by the England team. The coach is Brendan McCullum. His nickname is Baz, um, which is why it's called Bazball. That's context. So the whole point of Bazball, as explained by Brendan McCullum and the captain Ben Stokes, is they want Test cricket to become entertaining again. So they want their batsmen to play more attacking strokes, play at a higher strike rate. They want their bowlers to go more for wickets. And the whole point is just to make it more entertaining.
Yeah.
Get more audiences involved. And I feel like the reason why this test match went to the last session, the last day, is because of how quickly England played. Their batting, their strike rates, their run rates have been so high. It's actually insane to see. It's never been done before in the history of Test cricket. So we talk about moments that change a sport. I think we're right now in the era of Bazball where we're potentially seeing a change in how Test cricket is played.
Yeah.
And I feel like looking at the record of Ben Stokes, I feel like he's won 10 out of or 9 out of 10 matches.
9 out of 11.
9 out of 11, one draw and then one loss.
2 losses.
2 losses.
This is the second one.
Which I think is an incredible record. I feel like the real test of Bazball is going to be this upcoming Ashes in England. It's all fun and games while they're winning, but when they lose a match, let's say in the Ashes, that too against Australia, in England, there's going to be a lot of backlash from the media. There's going to be lots of questions being raised. Should they go back to playing with the old style of how Test cricket is supposed to be played? And so that's what I'm looking forward to see. I just feel bad for the bowlers because if you look at it, the batsmen are scoring runs at a high rate, and while the batsmen are scoring, the bowlers are taking a rest. But obviously, they're not batting for as long periods of times as typically they do. So the bowlers aren't getting the right amount of rest and recovery as they normally would have.
Really?
And they're actually spending more time on the field than they would have because the other team is taking their time. They're playing slow. They're playing at a run rate of 2.5, 3 runs and over, whereas they're scoring their runs more quicker and in a short amount of time.
I think they can handle it.
We might see more fatigue in their bowlers, and we're looking at somebody like Stuart Broad, James Anderson. They're towards at the twilight end of their career. And they might already be at low energy.
Oh my god!
So
just call Jimmy Anderson old. He's the GOAT, bro.
He is the GOAT. We want to talk about him as well. But that's my opinion on Bazball that you asked.
Yeah, I don't think Bazball is going anywhere else. I think it's a beautiful turn of the sport. I just don't know how many other countries are going to adopt this. It takes lots of guts, and frankly, to be candid, it takes a lot of balls to play the way that England is playing right now. I don't see a setup where Pakistan adopts this. I don't think they can. I don't think we have the players to execute that. What Bazball did was rehaul the entire English Test team. I don't think we can do that. The only other team that I think that kind of might be able to do this might be India. We'll talk about them. But with the pitches that they make in India, I don't think
with Jitesh Pujara on the team? Hell no.
Maybe
There's
not,
no chance, bro.
Maybe not Pujara, but Rohit Sharma is definitely a hitter. Kohli plays on a
Shubman Gill.
Shubman Gill was playing really quite fast in this test match against Australia. We'll talk about that as well. But it might be the only team that might start adopting it. And unless we see a wide scope of teams trying to emulate Bazball, I don't know if this will catch on. Give it a next couple of years. Brendan McCullum leaves. Do England still play the way that they're playing or not? I don't know. I really want Bazball to succeed, though. It's very interesting cricket. I think it's just entertaining. It's fun. It gets results done. I'm speaking from the losing end of that because we faced Bazball in Pakistan and they whitewashed us. They completely blew us out of the water, which is fine. But it was also fun to watch them actually like go for the win every time. It was absolutely entertaining. Coming back to that test, it was just one of those things where you tell people that you witnessed that live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember again going back to a basketball analogy. I witnessed the Kawhi Leonard shot against Philadelphia live. I was there. I saw that on my TV screen, but I saw it. Like I was there for the moment. This is the same thing. I was there to see this whole thing play out. Was that a wide before Jimmy Anderson got out? Time will tell. I guess not.
Why did he play that flick shot?
You know, why did he play that flick shot? He was playing. It was like he comes across and hits it for 4, and then he was like, it was just a turbulent game. Like you go from one side to the other, one side to the other. At the end, I feel like the right team won, though.
How does Jack Leach find himself at the end of these crazy run chases? I'm looking back at Headingley, where he arguably has scored the greatest test single of his life and one of the greatest test singles in the history of test cricket.
Give him knighthood after that, bro. That's what I say. Sir Jack Leach.
You know, Specsavers, who was the sponsor of that series, gave him lifetime free glasses.
Rightly so. Rightly so, sir. We hear really respect glasses on this podcast
because he was just nonchalantly wiping off his glasses while he was batting. And even in this test match, he had a really good partnership with Ben Folkes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something with Folkes and something with the Bens.
Yeah, Folkes and Stokes, bro. That's weird that they have a couple of those. Great test match. Great, like this again reaffirms my faith in the game of cricket. At least not in my lifetime will this go away. I feel like with games like this coming in, the next test match we talk about really crushes my spirits about the game of cricket and test match cricket, because India versus Australia, man. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. What was that pitch?
That was the most horrendous pitch I've ever seen. And we've seen some terrible pitches in Pakistan.
Yeah.
But that was because of the opposite reason.
Yeah.
You're getting no wickets. But here, I think the first session, India was like the 5 or 6 wickets down.
Yeah.
A whole test match finishing in 2.5 days. This is a joke.
Yeah.
BCCI, this is a joke. Listen to me.
Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous. And then the funniest part of the whole test match was hearing the commentators go at it. We have Ravi Shastri being like, this is such a good test cricket pitch. This is exactly the pitch that we need. It gets the results done. This is giving batsmen the practice of playing spin. Bro, it's literally breaking from the wide marker into leg stump. What are you talking about, Ravi Shastri? What is this? What is going on? Like, I don't get it. And then at the other side, we have like like Michael Hayden.
Matthew Hayden. Mitchell Johnson.
Yeah, they were just like, what? Really? We're going to be like talking about how amazing this pitch is right now? Like, this is insane. What are you doing? Like, there were multiple batsmen that went out where the ball hit below their knee.
Yeah, they're going on the back foot to play a cut shot or a back foot, just a pull shot, and it's going down their knee rolls.
This is not a pitch, bro.
It is a joke because we're witnessing some of the greatest batsmen that this game has ever played in these matches, like in the likes of Pujara, Virat Kohli, Steven Smith,
Warner,
Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, an upcoming talent.
Yep.
And to see them make these ridiculous pitches, it's a disgrace to the game of cricket.
And then you immediately see the stats. Virat Kohli hasn't scored a 100 in the last 20 innings. Bro, when pitches like that, nobody's gonna score 100. Like Khawaja's innings is worth a triple century in my opinion.
Top score of 60.
That's insane. Like you said, 2.5 days. It's not even 2.5 days. This test match finishes up. It's just a disgrace. Indian fans, don't come at me. You guys know this is horrible. The argument from the other side as well, England and Australia and New Zealand make bouncy pitches. Nobody complains about that. Yes, they do. The Gabba pitch had a demerit point. You get another demerit point. You don't play international cricket on that stadium for a year. The indoor pitch got the demerit point. That's how bad it was, bro. That's how bad it was.
If the pitches in Australia and South Africa are like they're too bouncy, they have too many cracks, the game gets called off.
Yeah,
it's literally unsafe to play. But in this case, it's not because of the bounce; it's because of the lack of the bounce.
And what, bro? Like it felt like I could turn.
Nathan Lyon took 8 wickets in the innings.
I mean, Nathan Lyon's a great bowler, but 8 wickets in the innings, that means like Stark was getting nothing out of that.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Stark, like he had his mans out twice in the first over. That's got to be one of the most ridiculous first overs I've ever seen. He was out twice. They didn't take a single review. What do you think about that?
I actually have not seen that over, so I cannot comment on that.
I'll tell you, it was ridiculous.
Okay.
The first one, clear edge.
It was the cloud.
Nobody heard it.
Right.
Everybody in the stadium heard it. Rohit Sharma definitely heard it. Didn't call it. And then the second one was a plum LBW. They started second guessing themselves because they missed the first one. Didn't take it again. I'm like, bro, this is a test match. You get 3. You get 3, right? Why wouldn't you just call it out? It's beyond me at this point.
Facts, absolute facts.
We got our co-host yawning in here. What's going on, bro? This is exactly how the test match was.
So boring. But I think BCCI will change the pitches. But you know why? It's not because they care about cricket. They care about broadcasts. They care about the ads. They care about Star Sports. So if the game's finishing in 2.5 days, they're losing ad revenue for the other 2.5 days. So we're definitely going to see a better pitch in the next match.
I want to see it because I want to see the result come out. Will India win the series or will Australia draw this? Because
yeah, they're 2-1 with 1 match to go.
Exactly. It's all or nothing right now.
Yeah.
So definitely test match is alive and well. That's my conclusion to this. Will we ever see a Pakistan-India test match? Closing thoughts.
You know what? There is a scenario where they can play. That is if they both qualify for the World Test Championship final.
Yeah. Pakistan had the best opportunity to do that.
They did, and they lost it because they had so many home games.
They had the best opportunity to do that. Imagine if Pakistan had qualified now for the finals.
Now they have to wait for the next cycle of series.
That's going to be like 2 years.
We have away tours in Australia and South Africa and England. So, well, good luck to Pakistan. Yeah, so that would be a spectacle to see, though.
But
India,
Kohli's gone by then. All these Pujara played a whole career without playing Pakistan in tests. That's insane to me. Yeah. So I guess that's the only way that's going to be happening. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this one up? It's been going on for a little bit here.
No, I think we're in a good space right now. PSL's doing good. A lot of buzz in the country about the PSL. Lots of hype for new players.
Where does Pakistan go after the PSL though?
We have T20s against New Zealand. They're coming back to play some T20s. And so I really don't know why, because this is an ODI World Cup year. We should be seeing more ODI matches.
Yeah.
So I want the shift to focus on ODIs ASAP. So we have that coming up. And then just more test matches coming up. Australia is facing India. IPL's coming up. Right now we have the WPL, the Women's Premier League going on.
Are we going to talk about the IPL here?
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is a Pakistan cricket centric podcast, but we will talk about other aspects of the game and other leagues as well,
for sure.
So
when is Backward Point finally going to cross over with the great cricketer? Is that happening
soon?
Do you want to tell the people about this?
TGC, we're coming for you.
Yeah, 100%. I guess we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for watching this podcast and listening to it. If you did on your audio streams, remember to leave or subscribe, and rate this podcast if you're listening to this on audio streams, Spotify, Apple Music. Really helps push the algorithm. Really helps us get in the top 50, 20, 30, whatever, 10, whatever you want. Yep. So this has been the Backward Point podcast. You've been listening to the Backward Point podcast. I've just been redundant. Before I keep speaking and rambling on, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.